I reside in Karachi, and like everyone else in my life, is normal wake up, go to the office, hang out with family. Nothing unusual until something befell me that I swear on my life is true. It all began on a chilly December evening. I was sleeping half the time when my phone rang at 1:47 a.m. I thought it was my cousin Walid. He would call me late sometimes, but when I looked at the screen, it had unknown caller. Usually I would just let it ring, but something about the ringtone that night, it did not sound like the usual ringtone from my phone. It was the same melody, but distorted, like it was being played from within a tunnel. I answered. Silence. Only distant static. And then a whisper. Farhan, hear me? I was stuck. The voice was recognizable, but forced, as if the person was talking through shattered glass. My heart was racing. Who are you? I demanded. The whisper again, stronger this time. It's Walid. My gut fell. Walid had been killed 3 weeks prior in a car crash. I had attended his funeral. I had viewed his body. I hung up, right away, my hand shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I kept telling myself it had to be a sick joke, maybe some guy using a voice recording. But inside I knew the tone, the pauses, the way he said my name, exactly it was him. The following night, it occurred again. Same hour, 1:47 a.m. This time I didn't pick up. The call continued to ring until I finally turned my phone off. But when I turned it back on the next day, I had one voicemail. I procrastinated for hours before listening to it. Why did I almost drop the phone? It was just static initially, then the same voice. Why did you hang up? Don't ignore me, Farhan. It's cold here. So cold. The voice of his breathing, the cracked pitch, it was just how Walid used to speak to me in the middle of the night after he had been drinking, whispering so his parents wouldn't hear. Except this time, he was whispering from a place no one should be calling from. I couldn't sleep for days. I didn't say anything because no one would believe me. My friends would laugh, my family would panic, and part of me didn't want to admit I was losing my mind. By the 5th night, I figured maybe the calls would cease. But at precisely 1:47 a.m., the phone rang. I swore I wouldn't answer. But something in me, perhaps guilt, perhaps curiosity, made me answer. The line was silent for hours. I was hoping maybe it was all over. But then I heard that soft breathing. Then Walid's voice, shaking, desperate. They won't let me go, Farhan. They keep me here. You have to help me. I asked who? Who's keeping you? The line sizzled with static, so loud I had to yank the phone away. Then he spoke something that still sends shivers down my spine whenever I recall. You're next. I dropped the phone and did not sleep at all that night. But it did not end there. These nights turned into a living hell. The calls came on schedule, and every time I ignored one, another voicemail was there, darker and more sinister. In one, Walid pleaded with me to go out with him. In another, he was yelling like he was being tortured. Once I swear I could hear other voices in the background, mumbling things I couldn't make out. Not in Urdu, not in English, just some guttural language that wasn't even human. By the 2nd week, my sleep was ruined. I seemed pale, gaunt. My colleagues noticed and queried what was wrong, but how could I describe it? Anytime I shut my eyes, I felt the phone buzzing in my hand, even when it wasn't there. I sometimes imagined that I saw Walid's reflection in shadowy windows gazing at me with unwinking eyes. One evening I decided to take the call. I downloaded a recording program and waited. At 1:47 a.m., my phone vibrated. I picked it up with shaking hands, tapped record, and breathed softly into the microphone. Walid, what do you want from me? His voice returned immediately, louder than it had been before. I want you here, with me. Where are you? I forced myself to say. There was silence. Then the merest response, behind you. I went cold all over. I whipped around in my darkened bedroom, my heart racing. Naturally, no one was there. Only shadows. But when I turned back to the phone, the timer on the call was still going. And through the white noise, I could hear laughter. Not Walid's laugh, some other laugh. Low, warped, unhuman. The following morning, I replayed the recording. But there was nothing. Complete silence. Not even a whiff of static. I started questioning reality. Was I dreaming? Was morning driving me insane? But no, if it was all just in my head, how did I have missed calls and saved voicemails on my phone? I played one of the voicemails from my friend Denial, but when he played it, there was just emptiness and static. No voice, no whispers. That was when I understood. The calls were intended for me alone. The turning point on the 14th night. I was tired, scared, hunted. At 1:47 a.m., sharp, the phone rang once again. I picked it up readily, this time dazed. Farhan, the whisper spat. They are coming to get you now. Before I could answer, I heard knocking. Not on the phone, on my real bedroom door. Slow measure knocks. 3 times. I stood stuck, phone held to my ear, not breathing. Then the voice whispered one final time. Don't open it. The knocking ceased. I lay awake until sunrise, holding the phone, as though it was the only thing that kept me connected to reality. When light at last filtered through my blinds, I scrolled through my call log. Nothing. No missed calls, no voicemails, no trace of what had just occurred. To this day, I still receive that call, every December, always at 1:47 a.m. I don't respond anymore, but sometimes I can hear the phone ringing in the distance, even when it's not. And when I close my eyes, I still hear Walid's voice whispering in the static. It's cold here. So cold. I'm a practical guy, 32 years old, working as a systems engineer in Chicago. But what happened in the summer of 2017 still makes my stomach drop when my phone rings late at night. It all started 3 weeks after my best friend Daniel died in a car accident. He was a brother rather than a friend. We had been friends since middle school, shared apartments, took road trips, and had the late night conversations about life and death that can only occur when you're half intoxicated and truthful. When he passed away, something inside me broke. His funeral felt unreal, and even afterward, I'd catch myself reaching for my phone to text him a stupid meme or ask if he wanted to grab a beer. One evening at approximately 2:15 a.m., my telephone began ringing. I was half asleep, drowsy, and annoyed, assuming that it was likely to be a spam caller. When I answered, the caller ID brought me to a standstill. It read, Daniel. I just looked at it, my throat constricting. His number wasn't disconnected yet. I assured myself that it was an error, perhaps someone else had gained access to his phone, perhaps a member of his family. But at 2:15 a.m., still my heart went out against my brain. I swiped to take the call. Initially, there was just static. Not the normal type of static, either. It was heavy, more like a storm in my ear. Then over the crackling, I picked up what sounded like a whisper. My name, Ryan, stretched out low, almost guttural. I jerked the phone back, looking at it, trembling. My brain whirled. Was it a prank call? A technical malfunction? I finally managed to croak out, Daniel. Silence, then a weak laugh. But it wasn't Daniel's laugh. It was unnatural, strained, like someone attempting to push air through shattered vocal cords. The connection went dead. I lay awake the rest of the night. I could feel my chest tighten and jump at every creak in the apartment. The next morning, I attempted to talk myself out of it. Phones get hacked, people spoof numbers. It had to be that. But deep in my gut, I couldn't shake the intuition that it wasn't a trick. 2 nights after the calls resumed. Always at 2 a.m. Always the same number. Sometimes I'd hear muffled breathing. Sometimes scratching, as if nails scraping across the microphone. Once I heard a blaring car horn in the distance, followed by the unmistakable shriek of metal distorting the exact sound I'd envisioned when I'd imagined his crash. I attempted to block the number, but it made no difference. My phone would ring. Daniel. Same time, same manner. Every call drove me deeper into paranoia. I wouldn't sleep. My coworkers noticed I appeared pale, hollow-eyed. I couldn't explain the truth. I knew they believed I was going crazy. But the worst of it wasn't even the calls. It was the increasing feeling that I no longer had my apartment to myself. The first time I experienced it, I was on the couch at night with the lights on my phone on the coffee table like a ticking time bomb. I could have sworn I saw something move in the reflection of the TV screen. Just a shadow behind me. When I turned around, nothing. My heart was pounding so loudly I could feel it in my ears. That evening, I decided to take the call. At 2:11 a.m., I opened the voice recorder on my phone and just waited. Sure enough, at 2:15, the ringing broke through the silence. My hand shook as I answered hit record and brought the phone to my ear. Ryan. The voice was clearer this time, but incorrect. Slur broken, laced with static. My voice caught. What do you want? The response was made in a non-voice that wasn't quite a sound, like Daniel trying to speak with a mouthful of water. The words didn't quite shape up, but I heard snippets. With me, car, can't leave. And then this hideous scream, a sound I'll never forget, like a man on his deathbed having his lungs collapse on themselves. I had dropped the phone. It landed on the hardwood floor, still connected, that twisted scream coming from the speaker until the line was cut. When I replayed the recording the following day, my stomach froze. The breathing and static were present, but the voice was absent. All that was left was silence, and faintly the echo of my own voice inquiring what it desired. No scream, no message, anything. By the fourth week, I wasn't even answering anymore. The calls didn't stop though. Each time I ignored them, they'd keep ringing until the battery died. Once when the phone finally powered off, I thought I was safe. But then at exactly 2:15 a.m., my landline rang. I don't even give out that number. I pulled the plug out and sat trembling in the dark. That is when I heard it. A low and steady vibration that was very faint coming from the bedroom. I crept towards it and froze when I saw the glow. My old phone, the one I had buried in a drawer months earlier, was flashing. The screen cracked, SIM card taken out, totally dead. But it was ringing. Caller ID, Daniel. I did not respond. I could not. That was the final straw. The following morning, I took a bag with me and lived with my sister for a month. I got the phone number permanently cut off, acquired a new piece of equipment, and changed apartments. For a while, it was quiet. I nearly talked myself out of believing it was grief, stress, perhaps a breakdown. But the previous winter, I was coming home late at night when my new phone illuminated the passenger seat. Unknown caller. I knew better, but I went out. I swiped and brought it to my ear. Static. Then that same distorted voice, clearer than before. Ryan, you can't run. The call dropped. I tossed the phone out the window while speeding 60 on the interstate. And yet certain evenings, perhaps at about 2:15, I could have sworn that I still hear my phone ringing in the dark, even when it is not there.